Hey everybody, my name is Ashley. I am one of the creators of Rise of the Trackers, a Fireflies trilogy game. Super excited to bring you this video today. It is going to be kind of a gameplay, mechanics, and kind of a playthrough of the game, just showcasing everything to you guys. Now keep in mind it is a prototype version. We don't have final manufacturer's version yet, so some of the pieces will look a little different. Most of the art is done. We don't have all of the characters done. We're super excited to get those done kind of post Kickstarter, but very excited. I can't wait for you guys to see it all. It is such a fun game. It takes you right into the little town of Pine Grove from Melissa Koberlin's books, the whole Fireflies trilogy. So if you haven't read it, there's a lot of her story and characters and plot built into this game. Actually, it was built from the ground up based off of her stories, which are phenomenal, by the way. All three of those books in the trilogy are fantastic, and we do hope to have expansion packs one day in the future based off of those next books. So I do want to share, this is sort of the intro to the rulebook, and we'll post the rulebook for you guys to see as well if you're interested in just seeing everything. And there is kind of bits of the story and the characters in the book, but I want to read for you guys the intro from Fireflies, the first book of the trilogy, and then into the game. Centuries ago, a large meteorite fell from the sky. Searching for a new home, it floated through space and time, finally coming to rest in the middle of a planet surrounded by land, water, and life. Hidden by trees and brush amidst the Appalachian Mountains in the northeastern part of the United States, an extraordinary vessel waited to be discovered. No human could imagine or prepare for what lies within its depths. Until one day, a curious lone hiker pushed aside one small branch, and a new species was born on Earth. Let's get into it. Welcome to Rise of the Trackers, a Fireflies trilogy game. A new species of alien symbiotes called Chondria have come to Earth with a mission to bond together with human hosts. Once united, not only are Chondria able to survive, showing themselves like fireflies on occasions in the eyes of their host, they also give their humans special abilities and advance humankind. Individual hosts have different gifts, as you will see. You have been successfully bonded and are now a host. One of your special gifts in Rise of the Trackers is the ability to track down other potential human hosts. Your other special abilities are unique for each player. With the help of your fellow players and character allies, your mission is to track, mark, and bond potential human hosts with Chondria. Each marked human will require certain attributes to be present in order for the bonding to be successful. Not everyone is convinced by the same arguments, after all. Successfully bond 4 potential hosts and you win the game. But beware, if you find a human who isn't a potential host, bonding them with Chondria will kill them immediately, and they are placed in the graveyard on the board. If 4 humans die, you lose the game. Also, not all hosts are friendly. Malcolm Durst and his daughter Lila are hosts with a sinister mission. They want to bond potential human hosts against their will. This type of union creates razors, mindless hosts that only do the bidding of their creator. If 4 razors are created and make it to Malcolm's house before you create 4 new hosts, you lose the game. So, that is our intro. I know there's a lot there, but I think we're ready to kind of dive into it. Let's go check out the game, guys. We're just going to follow from gameplay setup. You'll see here I kind of have the pieces already spread out for you guys. And I have decided for this gameplay example, I'm going to use Storm and Felix as my characters. And I have all the pieces out, but I figured I would just take you guys with me through the rulebook and how you set up the game to play. So first, obviously, everybody picks their character. So here I have Storm and a little character piece and Felix and his piece. So one thing I forgot to mention during the playthrough was looking at the special ability for each of the characters. So when somebody is deciding on which character they want to play, they can look at what each of the special abilities are. We end up using Storms in the game, which is during movement, this player can move up to 3 razors at a time. Felix also had a special ability, which I didn't end up using in the playthrough, but it was once per turn, this player can trade 1 attribute point with another player. So Felix potentially could give up a physical attribute to Storm and gain one of her emotional ones. Place them on the starting spots. So we'll place Storm here at her closest spot and Felix here on his. So the next thing it's going to do, it's going to have us place some tokens on the board. The first thing is unknown humans. We are going to play, and it's these ones. These little white guys are unknown humans for the prototype game we have. We're going to place these on the mall and the country club. These little guys will just go in the space indicated. The mall, country club, the Deer's Dress Shop, the school, and Helen and Miles' house. So we have all of our unknown humans set up. Next, we're going to place razors, which are these little red guys for right now. One of these is going to go on the gym and the grocery store. And then Jane. So for my prototype, this is our Jane piece. And it's going to go on the seer icon. This one always starts at Fuller Lake. We will place Will and Marley. So these are two of our allies. They always start on the board. Will will go to Will's house. Marley will go to Marley's house. And then we will place, so Malcolm and Lila. He's gonna go to the coffee shop and Lila goes to the salon. I have already shuffled, so the next thing is the game deck. You can see there is a spot here for the game deck and then another spot for the discard. So I went ahead and shuffled those. And then I also went ahead and shuffled the marked cards and I just have them set aside over there. And then, so our yellow, this is our ally tracker token. We'll just start it at 0 here to indicate we don't have any allies on the board yet. And that is kind of set up. So this is where the game will start pretty much each time. The only difference being the player characters that are chosen and which start spots they're on. So this is our victory tracker. Once we have these 4 allies here on the board, we will win. And these are our loss trackers. So this is Malcolm's house where the razors go if they make it to Malcolm's house. And then similarly, if an incompatible human is bonded, they end up in a graveyard down there. So if at any time either of those reach 4, that's our immediate loss condition. We have everything kind of set up, so I think we'll just get started. For the general gameplay, this is done in rounds. So every round, each player, so however many people are playing, will take a turn. And then there is an enemy round. So we have 2 characters playing this game. Storm will go, Felix will go, there will be an enemy turn, and that's the end of 1 round. And we'll start over. And so each turn has a turn sequence. The enemy turn has its own turn sequence, and then we start over with the round. So let's just say we rolled and Storm got the lowest roll, so she will go first. The first thing in the turn sequence is going to be rolling for your movement. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Wow, Storm rolled a 1. So the first thing we do is take our movement. Now as a player, I can use my movement to either move myself, which would be, putting Storm on the board for 1. I could choose to move another player, so I could put Felix on the board. And I can also choose to use my movement towards an ally. So that would be an ally like Marley or Will here. Or if we had one of these allies on the board, I could put my moves towards them as well. So that's what our movements can go towards. For now, I'm just gonna put Storm on the board. So that's the first phase of the turn sequence. The next thing is to choose an action. So there are various actions in the game that we can take. You can choose to draw an incident card. So one of these, that could actually be an action that you choose to take. If I had a hand of cards, if I had some that I collected, I could choose to play a card from my hand. That would be another action. If there was a razor at the hospital, I could choose to admit them. Remove them from the board. So admitting a razor would be one action. I could consult the seer. So if I had moved my player piece and I was on the same spot as the seer, I could take my action to consult the seer and check compatibility of one of the humans on the board. The final action is to bond a human. So if we had a compatible human on the board, so if we had marked them already and I had some allies and I was there in the same space, I could choose to use my action to bond this human and create an ally upon success. So those are the different actions that can be taken. Let's see, we'll leave Storm there. Turn those so you guys can see them maybe. Those are the different actions that can be taken during a turn. I'm just gonna draw an incident card because I can't really take any of the other actions. And I drew this card, a helping hand. Jane senses a host in trouble. If there is an ally and a razor within 5 spaces of the grocery store, move Jane's seer piece there. So this, if you notice, the card type has our little clock here. So it's gonna be a continuous card, and it's gonna be played up here. And then if we look at it again, so if there's an ally and a razor within 5 spaces of the grocery store. So we do have a razor at the grocery store, but there is no ally within 5 spaces. So this card's effect has not been reached yet. And down there it just says discard this card once this effect resolves. So until that condition is met, it's gonna stay here active on the board, waiting until that moment. The first part of my turn sequence was rolling and moving. I did that. The second part was taking an action. I chose for my action to be drawing an incident card. The third step of the turn sequence is going to be resolving any cards that need to be resolved. This is the stage where if this condition had been met, we go ahead and resolve that card, do the action, you know, move the seer piece, whatever it is that the cards instruct. That would be resolved in step 3. And then step 4, it's the last part of the turn sequence, is always to draw a card. So depending on how the turn goes, yes, people could be drawing multiple cards, multiple effects could be happening for each turn. This one is another continuous play card, Field Trip. If there are at least 2 players / allies at the school, move all tokens at the school to Crystal Lake. So this is also continuous play. We're looking at the school for this one, and it's for players and allies. There's a human there, so none of those conditions are met yet, and it's just gonna go here on the board in that continuous play space. Now, if at any time we get all 4 of these spots filled up and we draw another continuous play, we choose which of these to discard. So that can be a part of the strategy. Some of these are gonna have positive effects, some of them are gonna have negative effects, some of them are kind of neutral. So those, if you ever get it filled up and you get another one, you could choose to discard maybe one that you have been trying to avoid. Okay, so that was the end of Storm's turn. She took all of her turn sequence steps. So next we would go over to Felix and we would start his turn just from the top. So Felix is gonna roll, he rolls a 5. Now, when moving on the board, there are a few things we want to take into consideration, and that's how do we want to play? Do we want to work on removing some razors from the board? Because we know during the enemy turn, they're gonna step a little closer to Malcolm's house. Do we want to work on going to see Jane so we can figure out if any of these humans are compatible? What direction do we want to go? So as a player, I have 5 moves here. Nobody is exceptionally close to Jane. You can't go through buildings, so I'd have to go all the way around Dr. Arcana's house here. We don't have any known compatible humans, so there's no place really to move allies to right now. But I could move towards one of the razors. If I am in the same spot as a razor, I can move a razor with me. But for now, let's see, Felix has 5. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and start marching him towards the seer so we can work on determining if we have any compatible humans around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Felix ends his movement there. We go on to the next step, which is choosing an action. We're going to draw an incident card for our action. We got another continuous play card, Razor Swarm. If 4 razors share a single location, all humans at that location are bonded as razors or die according to their compatibility. If unknown, roll for compatibility now. Each player gains +1 determination. So we'll place this here. There is no spot where there are 4 razors in one location. That card stays there. Felix has moved. He has taken his action. We don't have anything to resolve currently, so Felix will end his turn with another card draw. This card is an instant play card. You can tell by the icon, it's got the lightning bolt here. So this is school day. Mrs. O'Leary heads to work, move her token to the school. If not on the board, find her token and place it on the board now. So Mrs. O'Leary is an ally. So I'm going to search the ally deck for Mrs. O'Leary. She's going to be added to our active allies up there. So this was an instant play. We have placed Mrs. O'Leary at the school, and then this card can go right into the discard. And that is the end of Felix's turn. Both of our players have gone. The next turn is actually not going to be Storm, it's going to be the enemy turn. During the enemy turn, Malcolm releases a razor. So wherever Malcolm is on the board, he is currently right there. He is going to get a little razor on the same space as him. And then the next step of the enemy turn is that all razors on the board are going to take one movement closer to Malcolm's house. So this razor is going to be moved there. This razor could be moved here or there. Those are both considered moves towards Malcolm's house because we're going to have to go around some buildings to get there. So I think I'm going to move him here. And then this razor is going to be moved one this way. That's the second part of the enemy turn. The final part of the enemy turn is looking to see if any cards need to now be resolved. So if a razor has moved to a spot indicated by one of these cards and there's an effect that needs to happen, that happens now during this third step of the enemy turn. That is the end of round one. So we're going to go back to Storm and we're going to roll for her movement again. Now, if we remember, Storm's special ability is Strength. So when she moves, she can actually move up to 3 razors with her at one time. I think I'm going to start moving her towards the center of the board where these razors are, and she can sort of help start getting those razors to the hospital so we can get them admitted. I have 2 moves here. Guess we'll just go 2 there. She's not super fast, huh? There's Storm's movement. Next, we're going to take an action. Hers is just going to be draw an incident card. Scavenger hunt. If 3 players/allies share a single location, every player gains +1 teamwork, and any razors in or adjacent to that single location move 1 space away. This is another continuous play card. We don't have 3 allies or players at any single location. There is nothing to resolve, so we are going to end the turn with another card. You'll notice this card has the little like hand of cards up there. This one actually is not played immediately or played on the board. This one goes into the player's hand. So Storm now has a card that she'll hold on to until she wants to play it. So it's called Special Move. So for your next 3 turns, you may move enemy pieces as you would player/ally pieces. At the beginning, when you roll for movement and you can now move pieces, like you can normally move players and allies, you could also choose to move maybe Malcolm or Lila or a razor as well. So we'll hold this one in Storm's hand until she wants to use it. That was the end of Storm's turn. We are going to now roll for Felix. Sweet. Felix rolled a 6. So that actually can move him all the way to the seer, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rather than split it, we'll get him all the way to the seer. That way now, step 2 is to take an action. So we're going to go ahead and consult the seer with Felix's action. So when you consult the seer, we're going to pick which human on the board we would like to know compatibility. I'm thinking let's check on this one, because we could get Marley moved over there to help bond them. And Mrs. O'Leary is there, so those 2 allies could potentially bond that human. So let's roll for compatibility. When we're rolling for compatibility, on our custom dice, it will be 4 sides with a compatible icon, 2 sides with incompatible. But I'm just using a standard dice here for the prototype. So 1 through 4 will result in compatible, and a 5 or 6 will be incompatible. So let's see what we get. 3, sweet. Okay, the seer has seen that this human is compatible, so we're gonna go ahead and mark them just from our shuffled mark deck here. We're gonna flip one of these over. So this lets us know the bonding requirements of this marked human. So we're gonna place this here. I'm gonna go find in our bag of marked tokens, the matching icon. We'll place the human back off of the board and put that marked icon over there by Mrs. O'Leary. So we now have a marked human and an ally over here at the school. So good action from Felix. The next thing for Felix's turn is going to be resolve any cards. None of those are ready to be resolved, and we will end Felix's turn with a card draw. Not a frisbee. Aiden is reading up on disc golf. Move his token to the library. If not on the board, find his token and place it on the board now. So I'm gonna find our ally Aiden and place him on the library. So that was the end of Felix's turn. So next we go to the enemy turn, which, as we said, Malcolm gains another razor at his location. The next step of the enemy turn is that all razors move one step closer to Malcolm's house. So this razor is making their way there. That one moves up there. See this guy up there, and this razor one step that way. The next phase is to resolve any cards. Oh, and you know, one thing we forgot to do after we consulted the seer piece needed to move. So let's go ahead and move that seer piece. You can see the arrow kind of indicates that way. So the seer piece moves down here to the grocery store. That's the next place we have to go if we want to consult the seer. That is the end of the enemy turn and the end of the round. So we will circle back and do a turn with Storm again. One thing that I would look at now is our marked human over here before I took my turn and just saw where we were, how close. Because if we can bond that marked human, then we would be creating another ally. So that's a pretty high priority task we could focus on, as well as Storm getting over here to move these razors away from Malcolm's house. Because remember, if 4 of these razors make it all the way to Malcolm's house, then we lose. Let's look at this. So physical 8, we have Mrs. O'Leary and Aiden right here. So if we look at Aiden has 5 physical, Mrs. O'Leary has 4, that would give us 9, so they would be able to satisfy that. Mental attribute, we need 5, they have a combined 7, so that would also work. Emotion, they need 2, which they have plenty, and luck, they need 10, and combined, they only have a luck attribute of 8. So we would need to assist them in luck, but they are pretty close to being able to bond that human. Marley is nearby, so let's look. Her luck is 6, so she would be able to assist plenty. If we got Marley and Aiden over to the school, we could bond that human, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But for now, I think I do want to keep Storm moving up to those razors so she can try to drag some back down to the hospital. Oh, a move of 2. Storm doesn't go anywhere fast, does she? I'll just go ahead and move her right there. So for her action, I think I do want to go ahead and play this. So for your next 3 turns, you can move enemy pieces as you would player/ally pieces. So I am going to go ahead and play that. I just have some extra game pieces, so I'm going to throw some on there as a counter because it's for the next 3 turns. So it'll be Storm's next 3 turns. So for 3 more rounds, she'll be able to use the effects on this card. So I will play that card as my action. I do believe there's still nothing to resolve, and then we will end her turn with a card draw. Study hall. Will and Marley are studying for Mr. Bradshaw's exam. If both of their tokens are on the library, movement rolls earn +1 for the rest of this round. Let's see if there's one we would like to get rid of, because it is a continuous play card and we do have 4 over there. Let's go ahead and get rid of this Razor Swarm because I don't want any humans to die if they are not compatible. So we'll discard that. And that is the end of her turn. For Felix next turn, I'm gonna go ahead and roll. 6 again, nice. Felix rolled 6, but I think I am gonna split this movement and actually go ahead and move Storm a little closer to the action. And Felix isn't anywhere super productive right now, so I may not even move him at all. I think I'm gonna split his movements between Storm and Marley. Get Marley a little closer over there to the school. I think I'll just do half and half. So 1, 2, 3 for Marley. Let's do 1, 2, 3 for Storm. So that's the movement phase of Felix's turn. The second phase is to take an action, which I will go ahead and draw a card. Lights out. So this is an instant play. Mike Walker, captain of the football team, gets a concussion. Place one new unknown human token at the hospital. We gain another human on the board. That's good news. That gets discarded. Next phase is to resolve any of the cards. And I still don't think we have anything that needs to get resolved. And then we will end Felix's turn with a card draw. Medicine. Justin has a headache and needs some medicine. Move Justin's token to the pharmacy. If not on the board, place him on the board now. So we have added Justin to the board, and that is the end of Felix's turn. So the next turn will be the enemy turn. So we'll go ahead and go through that. So that is the enemy turn, and we'll just start over with the next round. So this is Storm's roll. 3. So remember, we have this special move card that Storm played last time. I'm gonna take a counter off because she only has 2 turns left now. But for your next turns, you may move enemy pieces as you would player/ally pieces. So I think I do want to go ahead and use that for razor movement. I don't like how close this guy is getting to Malcolm's house. So I think I'm gonna move him back. We'll just use 2 of those. We'll move that one back to move Storm up 1. So that's Storm's movement phase. Don't have another action, so we'll draw an instant card. Call the doctor. Lila is feeling nauseous. Move Lila to the hospital. So we move Lila's token over here to the hospital. I don't think we have anything to resolve, so we will end Storm's turn with another card draw. Cleanup detail. Place 2 unknown human tokens at Tumbling Run. So we gain 2 humans on the board here. Now it is back to Felix. 6. I think I am gonna send Felix chasing down the seer. And I think I'm just gonna put his full force there. That way we can work on uncovering if we have any more compatible humans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that puts Felix there. For his action, we're gonna draw a card. Boost, you completed a ropes course +1 confidence, and it has an E, so that's an emotional. So Felix is gonna gain an emotional attribute. We have nothing to resolve. We will end his turn with a card draw. It's study time. Move Anna's token to Marley's house. If not on the board, place her now. Who's that? Anna. Okay, so we have Anna on the board and her ally card out over there. And that was the end of Felix's turn. So we're gonna take another enemy turn now. You can see how the razors really build up. They're all gonna take their move. And then nothing to resolve. So then we will go back to Storm. 3. So Storm has 3 moves now. That could get her to Malcolm's spot, which puts her pretty close to the razors for next time. I think what I'm gonna do is anticipation. If you remember, Storm's special ability is strength, so she can move up to 3 razors with her when she moves. So I think I'm gonna use one of these. We're gonna take this counter off because it's another turn. One of these special moves to move a razor back, because if they're on the same space, she can grab both of them. So that was one of our moves for Storm in anticipation of her kind of starting to gather them up. And then I'll use 2 more to move her a little closer. So that's Storm's movement phase. Next, we take an action. I'm going to draw an instant card. Homeward bound. Parker heads back to his house in California. Remove Parker's token from the game board. Parker is not currently on the board as an ally, so we just discard that card. There is nothing to resolve. We'll just end the turn with another card. Tamarind Restaurant is running a dinner special. Move the 3 pieces closest to Tamarind's to the Tamarind space. There's Tamarind. So that one's 1. Obviously that one will get moved. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So those are both 3 spaces away. So this razor, and this human all go to Tamarind. And then we will go to Felix's turn. Remember, we were trying to get him to the seer. So he's only got 2 moves here. That does put him one move away. I might go ahead and just split his move though with Storm. Get him one closer to the Seer, and then Storm one closer to all the razors she's gonna try and pull back to the hospital. So it was Felix's movement. Next, we're gonna take an action, sending back up. Jeff receives a call that a host was detained. Move Jeff's token to the police station. He's not on the board, place it there now. Okay, so there is Jeff placed up there with his ally card and also on the board. The next thing would be to see if any cards need to be resolved. And I do believe this one. So Jane senses a host in trouble. If there's an ally and a razor within 5 spaces of the grocery store, move her there. And there is both a human and an ally within a space of the store, but Jane is already there, so actually there's no update on the board. If the Seer piece had been somewhere else, we would have then moved Jane's Seer piece to the grocery store. But so that was a card that was resolved. And then we will end Felix's turn with a card draw. Afternoon slump. Liz needs coffee stat. Move her token to the coffee shop. If she's not on the board, place her there now. Okay, so Liz is here at the coffee shop with Malcolm and Storm. I've placed her card up there, and that is the end of Felix's turn. So next is the enemy round. Now we're gonna go back to Storm. So this is the last turn. She has her special move. Let's roll. 2, my goodness. Storm can move 2, and I think I am going to go ahead and move her 2. So 1, 2 here with this middle razor. And we might look at moving her again, because if we can get her in front of these razors, she can grab 3 and move them back down next time. So that was her movement phase. Next, we're going to take an action, which will just be to draw an instant card. Daddy-daughter time. If Malcolm and Lila are on the same space, all razors on the game board move 1 space closer to them. This would actually be a good one to make happen if I wanted to like move enemy pieces or something. If I have those abilities, then I could try and put Malcolm and Lila on the same space away from Malcolm's house to get all the razors to move backwards 1 space. But I currently don't have the ability to do that. That was Storm's action. I don't think any of these cards will resolve. Then we will end her turn with a card draw. Right along, it's Fire Safety Week. If at least 2 players or allies are at the fire station, they can tag along on the next call. Move 2 player ally tokens from the fire station to the mall. Currently don't have anybody at the fire station, so this one goes out there. Let's get rid of field trip. Not that anything bad happens. So that was the end of Storm's turn. I'm gonna roll for Felix. I think I'm actually going to split this movement between a couple of pieces. So we're gonna go ahead and move Storm up, get her ahead of the razors, and then next time she can bring them back down with her. So 1, 2. Also want to go ahead and get Felix to the Seer. So 3, 4, and then that leaves 1 movement left. I'm gonna go ahead and move Marley 1 closer to our marked human over here, because we do need to get that marked human into an ally. So that's a movement phase. Next is gonna be take an action, and Felix is with the Seer. So I'm gonna consult the Seer, and we're gonna choose a human that we wanna find out compatibility for. I think I'm gonna go with this one, because after we bond this human, we have some allies already kind of gathered that could bond that human as well. So let's go ahead and say for that one. So we're gonna roll for compatibility, and we need a 1 through 4. Woo. Okay, so we have marked this human. They are compatible. Find this little 4-leaf clover and put them on the mall there. Okay, so we've got our other marked human right there, their marked card on the board. And that was the action phase of Felix's turn. We don't have anything to resolve, so we're gonna end Felix's turn with a card draw. A dying art. There's nothing more thoughtful than a handwritten letter. Move Robert's token to the post office. If not on the board, find his token and place it there now. Okay, so Robert has been placed at the post office. I have his ally card active up there. And that was the end of Felix's turn. So we're gonna take the enemy turn. There's nothing to resolve, so we are going to bring it back to Storm. This card is discarded because we used it all 3 times, and I will roll for her movement. 5, finally some movement from Storm. So because of her special ability, she can move up to 3 razors with her during her movement. So I think I'm gonna try to just max her out and pull some razors down that way. So 1 move, we're gonna take both of these razors with us to here, and now she does have 3 razors on the same spot with her. So that'll be 1 move. I think we're gonna move Storm and her 3 little razor buddies over here. Okay, so that is Storm's movement. We've gotten some of the razors away from Malcolm's house, and I think we'll just keep bringing those down towards the hospital so we can get them admitted and off of the board. There's nothing to resolve, so we will end Storm's turn with a card draw. Drain, you've got a cold. For your next turn, gain -2 in any attribute or combination of attributes. So we'll leave this here so we remember. And next it will be Felix's turn. 2. Oh, we forgot to move the seer piece again. It was over here and Felix consulted the seer. So we're gonna go ahead and bounce that back over to Will's house. The seer is Jane, who is Will's mother, by the way. Felix rolled a 2, but I think we're gonna leave Felix there and keep moving people towards these humans over here. Because we know if we get Aiden and Marley there, we can bond and get an ally. So we're gonna go ahead and move Aiden to the school to be with Mrs. O'Leary and the human. That uses up our movement, so Felix is gonna take an action, which is just going to be a card. You skip your workout at the gym today, -2 strength. So Felix is going to lose, you'll notice it had a P for physical, so he's gonna lose 2 physical attributes. Bummer, Felix. And then there's nothing to resolve. We will end Felix's turn with a card draw. Drain, your mom asked you a favor, but you ditched to go on a date instead. -1 empathy. That's E, so it's an emotional attribute. Goodness, Felix. Okay, so that is the end of Felix's turn. There's going to be another enemy turn. And there is still nothing to resolve, so that is the end of the enemy turn. So we'll go ahead and start back now at Storm's turn. She rolled a 2, and for play's sake, I think I probably would move her up there and then move the razors back down once. But for gameplay, I do want to show you the bonding. So I'm going to use Storm's movement here to take Marley over to the school with our other allies. Now remember, when we calculated it up, Mrs. O'Leary and Aiden couldn't bond that marked human by themselves. They didn't have enough of the luck attribute. So that's why we brought Marley over there. But so Storm did her movement phase. Now we could go into the action, and Storm's action is actually going to be bond this human. So you notice Storm doesn't have to be there for the bonding to take place on the action, but Storm's player's action is going to be to bond this human. So it's the one with the eyeball. We're going to verify one more time that those attributes match. So Aiden, Mrs. O'Leary, and Marley are the ones we have there. For physical, we need 8. Aiden and Miss O'Leary had enough. Mental, we needed 5. Aiden and Miss O'Leary had enough. Emotion, we needed 2. Aiden himself has 2, so that was fine. And luck was where we needed 10. So luck, we had 5 and 3, which gave us 8, and then Marley has 6. So they have plenty of luck with all 3 of them there. So this is going to be a successful bonding. We're going to remove the marked card and the marked token, place one of our allies on the board here, and our counter will go up to 1. So that is how the bonding takes place. But you can really see over time how the razors start populating and converging on Malcolm's house. But at the same time, you also have more allies appearing. You're creating allies. This ally can now help with the bonding. and they just have an attribute of 2 across the board. So they could contribute to luck, to emotion, to physical, to mental, whatever attribute they have 2 of. So yeah, that is how you play Rise of the Trackers. And like I said, all of these characters are characters from the books or based on information from the books. So all of our allies, our yellow allies, are actual characters from the books. There's a lot of references to characters and plots in a lot of these cards. So I highly encourage you, if you're gonna get the game, definitely check out Melissa's books as well. It's just really fascinating to see these characters come to life in this story. And it's also a really fun game. It's a lot of fun with the group, and just the collaboration and the way you're able to move players around and work together, or kind of even choose your own little mini tasks and do that on your own, I just find really fun. So I think you guys are gonna love this game. Go get yourself a copy. Thank you to everybody that has backed us so far. We can't wait to get this game in your hands. So thanks, guys.